All right, good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Got a nice little turnout for this crude oil session. Don't forget that in about 1 hour, we're going to do a session of UTA training, special session, so you guys can just stay in the room. Oh, sure thing, Brock. We all look forward to this every week. Not a whole lot of range. Got the low way down here earlier last night, 41, 69.02. Yeah, 50 or 60 cent range today. Let's see if it expands after the report comes out. All right, so here we are. We'll see when the report comes out by the reaction in the next few seconds. Welcome to the first crude oil report of September, following the end of the dog days of August. Let's see, there it is, right on time. I'd like to mark the initial reactions boundaries. Let's see if it'll break through that. And the low of the day was down in the low 40s here, so let's just see if we can get through this one. You can see pretty tight range thus far. Just to remind everyone, we wait 2 minutes. You can see how muted the reaction is here. We're trading right in the middle of this range that I just marked, with a couple trades that resulted from the reaction to the news being very small. This current trade here, only 13 ticks. It's a target 2, kind of unusual. So that's a valid setup. Well, there's a new setup now to go short. We're still waiting, and that would be short at 57. And now a new setup to go short, which would be short at 49. We get in sync with the newest setup. The newest setup is this one, so we're staying flat. It has been 2 minutes. That is the first trade. It's a very awkward place to get short, obviously, with this swing low here at 46. But that's the first setup, is to go short. We might get a long now. Actually, that short trade is canceled. We've had 2 closes above the signal line, so currently no setup. We're not getting in sync with the older setup now that there's a newer one. And so we'll just stay flat. The absolute low of the day is 41. Which happened really yesterday, last night, depending on your time zone. And still no setup. That's a possible long without any hits. There it is. So we have a long now at 66. It's targeting 82. I don't know if any of you got filled on that. I didn't. Stops at 49. In fact, I would get long at 67 now if you haven't already gotten triggered in. 1 tick adjustment, just to make sure it's going to go through that price level. That's a new trade, a smaller trade. It's up to you if you want to go for that smaller target. You'd have to go to target 3. It'd only be 12 ticks. I think in this case, with the same entry, I'm inclined to stay with the larger trade, since I will be at money management anyway. If I get to target 3, I like the bigger target more.
Order filled.
Okay, it did trigger in. So I'm in the white trade, just to be clear. Money management would be at 76. If you made the 1 tick adjustment, you might want to wait for 77, and it just hit 77. So lock in your 1 tick. And it did hit target 3 of the smaller trade. If you went for that, you're done. It did not break through the upper end of the range. Let's see if it can. And kind of a strange set of circumstances here. Now the stop is at 69.
Order filled.
And I'm done. I stopped out at 69. So that's interesting. The small trade hit its objective. The larger trade was a break even. I kind of rolled the dice and was hoping it was going to break through. Technically, that's one and done, guys. So if you want to keep trading this, and you're kind of stretching out a little bit, that smaller trade hit the target like perfectly, 1 tick below the range of the reaction, and now it's trading right back in the middle. So for me, it's just kind of a lackluster, unexciting event here, but you take what the market wants to give you, and you know, I'm just not inclined to push the envelope anymore. I made a trader decision to go with a larger trade. It cost me. If you guys went with the new setup, you would have hit your target perfectly. Either way, that's all she wrote. At least for the 377 tick. Definitely a strange and unusual session, being the day after Labor Day weekend and a short week. But as I've often said, and you guys can kind of see it yourselves, it gets dangerous when you get the tight range and the reaction trades up and down inside the range. Now, maybe it'll come down and test the lower boundaries and continue to make new lows for the day, and that could lead to a nice move. So you can keep that in mind, especially since it failed to go higher. Looks like it's going to try to get lower, but we don't have a setup anyway, so we could watch it. The momentum bar with Spotlight, we could look at that. Let's flip over and see what that looks like. Yeah, so you have the pink trade here, and that one just hit its full target. So with Spotlight, you got the long trade that got you to break even, and then a short trade to a full winner. So that worked out pretty good. Don't forget the low of the day is 41. So it's testing that right now. If you're in Spotlight, you're still in that trade, so that could work out pretty nice. So no setups on RB yet, just missing a potential short there just because the proximity of the dots not quite where they need to be. Yeah, any questions, guys? Everyone's looking forward to this. I mean, did anyone take the smaller trade? Let's start with that. Anybody? Remember with Counterpunch, we always go with the newest setup. I kind of talked you through my way of thinking on it and willing to accept the consequences. But the actual one and done trade, it hit the target perfectly, going for the target that's more than 10 ticks or more. Kind of uncanny. Good job, Rafat. Better to make a little than less than a little. You guys are invited to stay in the trade room. There's a short now, by the way. I mean, we could watch what happens. Making new lows. Just in the next 50 minutes, we'll do the UTA session. So the breakout move, by the way, hitting money management. If anyone took that, we'll see if it keeps on going. And that did hit full target. So if anyone kept trading, you had a nice little move right there. I pretty much stay with the trade plan because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm perfectly happy to accept my outcome. But there's a nice trade right there. Yeah, Len, I think the 5-cent momentum bar does very well. But the fact that you're asking me that question probably implies you really need the training coming up in about 50 minutes. Because that's something you should already know the answer to. But I would say if you're going to start with one and you want to research it and prove it to yourself and all that, I think the 5-cent momentum bar is the way to go. Wins a lot. Definitely won today. As you can see, it's still going. What a trade, huh? Spotlight really kind of putting on a show there, calling that breakout move from way up here. 5 range on Ninja, exactly. All right, so unless there's any other questions, I will see you guys, or as many of you that remain, back here in about 50 minutes or so.